Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we sift through the info to pull out the real gems. Today, we're diving into a question that really splits people. Players, pros, everyone. Is poker actually a game for smart people? Or is it, just like rolling dice? We're going behind the scenes, beyond the poker faces, to figure out the truth about skill, strategy, and what it takes to succeed. A lot of folks just write it off as gambling, but maybe there's more to it. A real test of your mind.
That's exactly what we're aiming to unpack for you today. Yeah, our goal here is to kind of cut through that confusion, give you a shortcut to understanding what really makes poker tick. We'll look at intelligence, and not just one kind, but math smarts, emotional smarts, plus things like patience, decision-making, and really show why it's fundamentally a mind game, not just about the cards you happen to get.
Yeah, I found that fascinating in the research how being smart in poker isn't just like raw IQ, it's multifaceted. Okay, let's unpack this. Let's see what our sources say about making those smart moves at the table. All right, so let's start with the big one, the myth. Poker is all luck. And look, we get it. We've all had those sessions, right? Terrible cards, or some opponent hits a miracle on the river. It feels completely random sometimes. Luck definitely matters in the short run. The deal, who you sit next to, some wild play from someone else.
Oh, absolutely. It's so easy to focus on those moments, those bad beats. They stick with you.
Yeah.
But when you zoom out, look at the long game. The data's pretty clear. Skill consistently wins out over that short-term luck. Think about it like this. It's an example from the sources.
Yeah.
A total newbie plays a pro, maybe 100 hands. Sure, the beginner might snag a few pots. Pure chance.
Yeah, happens all the time.
But stretch that out. Play 1,000 hands, 10,000, even more. The pro's edge, their strategy, their skill, it almost always comes out on top. It's just the law of averages sorting things out. Sustained success. That's about smart decisions, not just getting lucky breaks.
Right, that difference between the short-term noise and the long-term signal. That's crucial. It shows you need more than just crossing your fingers if you want to win consistently. And this is where it gets really interesting, because the material shows that being smart in poker isn't just one thing. It's a mix of different kinds of intelligence.
Exactly. So first, the one people usually think of, mathematical thinking. Now hold on, you don't need to be a math whiz, no advanced calculus required.
Okay, good.
But smart players definitely go beyond just counting outs or basic pot odds. They understand concepts like implied odds.
Implied odds. Okay, what's that exactly?
It's basically calculating the potential future winnings if you hit your draw, even if the current pot size doesn't quite justify calling right now. It's thinking ahead. Will I win a big pot later if I make my hand? That's where beginners often miss out. And then there's range analysis.
Range analysis.
Yeah, figuring out the whole spectrum of possible hands your opponent might have based on how they've played the hand so far. And then you assign probabilities to those hands. It's more strategic deduction using numbers, not just basic arithmetic.
Okay, so it's way beyond just what are my chances. It's what could they have and how likely am I to beat that range. That's definitely more complex. But it's not all numbers, right? The sources really hammer home the emotional intelligence piece. EQ, how vital that is.
Oh, absolutely critical.
Yeah.
And it's way more than just, try not to get angry after a bad beat, avoiding tilts.
All right, everyone talks about tilt.
Sure, but smart players use emotional control. They manage their own tells, even online, like how fast they bet or make a decision. A sudden quick call or a long pause can give away a lot, but it goes deeper. They also understand how sometimes, subtly, put their opponents on tilt.
Ah, weaponizing it a bit.
Kind of. Strategic aggression, maybe making frustrating plays, getting opponents flustered so they make mistakes. The sources suggest it's about managing your own state and influencing the emotional state of the table. Requires real self-awareness and reading others.
Wow, okay. So managing your own cool is one thing, but actively trying to disrupt someone else's, that's next level. And beyond the internal stuff, there's also the pure strategic thinking. Like every hand is a fresh puzzle.
Precisely. Smart players aren't just playing their own two cards. They're constantly watching everyone, building mental profiles. They're tracking patterns. Who always bets the flop if they raise before it? Who only bets big with monster hands? Who gets scared on the river? They recognize different bet types, like small blocker bet that looks weak but protects a good hand, or a pro bet just to get info. It's about understanding the whole game flow, predicting moves and exploiting those tendencies you spot.
And that game flow is always changing, which brings us to adaptability. The table dynamics shift constantly.
Constantly. You have to adapt. A winning strategy from an hour ago might be useless now. New players sit down, opponents adjust. Smart players are always tweaking their approach.
Hmm.
But the best players, they even think about the metagame.
Metagame.
Yeah, how players are adapting to other players' adaptations. It's like playing chess, multiple moves ahead. You're not just reacting to the present, you're trying to anticipate the future adjustments. That constant evolution is really the hallmark of intelligent play.
So, if adapting to the table is crucial, what about the biggest shift, the move to online poker? How did that change what smart play looks like?
Oh, online poker definitely ramped up the need for a certain kind of smartness. So you lose all the physical tells, right?
Yeah, no nervous tapping, no eye twitches.
Exactly. So players had to get much better at reading the digital clues. That means laser focus on things like bet sizing, is it consistent? Or timing tells, did they call instantly? Or think for ages? That tells you something. And many use heads-up displays, HUDs, for stats on opponents. So it's about interpreting that data too. The clues are different, but observation and deduction are, if anything, even more important.
Okay, so if I'm trying to get better online, I need to shift my focus, learn to read those digital footprints instead of physical ones.
Pretty much. You need resources specifically for online play. Learning to read those betting patterns, understanding what HUD stats actually mean, knowing the typical tendencies of online players, it becomes vital. You're basically building a new skill set for that environment.
Got it. Now, let's tackle that other idea. Do you have to be some kind of genius to play poker well? Seems intimidating sometimes.
Yeah, that's a common worry, but nope, not at all. The research is pretty clear. Poker is a skill you can absolutely learn. You don't need to be Einstein or, a chess grandmaster.
Ew.
What you do need is, well, a decent grasp of basic math, the ability to focus for a while, and, seriously, the willingness to put in the time, practice, study. It's more about developing discipline, being analytical, reflecting on your play, qualities anyone can work on. Those matter way more than just raw IQ.
Okay, that's encouraging. And speaking of qualities, you mentioned resilience earlier. That feels like a really key part of poker intelligence, maybe one people don't talk about enough.
It's huge. Maybe the most important thing, really. Because look, every single player hits rough patches, downswings. Even the absolute best players lose sometimes. They lose sessions, they have losing weeks.
Happens to everyone.
Exactly. So real smartness, according to our sources, is how you handle that, how you bounce back. It's about learning to separate the outcome of one, maybe you got unlucky, from the quality of the decision you made. Did you play it right, even if you lost? And not letting those losses wreck your confidence or your strategy, building that mental toughness, that's critical. And honestly, that skill helps everywhere in life, not just at the poker table.
That's a great point. It connects poker skills to broader life skills, mental strength. So for listeners who are maybe thinking, okay, I want to build these skills, get smarter at poker, what practical steps do the sources suggest?
Well, one thing that comes up is joining a poker club. It's highlighted as a really smart move for growth.
Why a club specifically?
You get regular competition, right? Playing against different people consistently sharpens your game in a relatively safe, maybe lower stakes setting. Plus, there's the community aspect, talking hands, getting feedback, learning from others. That's invaluable. And clubs often emphasize stuff like bankroll management, crucial for playing smart long-term. But beyond clubs, things like online study groups, reviewing your hand histories, maybe even getting coaching, those are all effective ways to learn faster.
Makes sense. Find ways to practice deliberately and get feedback. Okay, final big question here, kind of an age-old debate, intelligence versus experience. In poker, which one wins out?
Yeah, the classic question. And like most things, the answer is a bit nuanced. The sources suggest intelligence gives you an initial advantage, definitely. You pick up the concepts faster. The math, the strategies, you adapt quicker, maybe.
So, a head start.
A head start, exactly. But long-term success, that really comes down to experience and focused practice. Poker is one of those games where you genuinely learn something new almost every time you play. There are just so many variables. So true smartness in poker isn't just about being quick. It's about being a continuous learner, taking those lessons from experience, good and bad, and constantly refining your game. It's really a journey of improvement, just like in any skill-based pursuit.
So, to circle back to our main question, is poker only for smart people? It sounds like the answer from our deep dive is a clear no. It doesn't require you to be exceptionally smart starting out, but maybe it makes you smarter.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes you smarter. Think about it. Every hand, every decision, you're using logic, you're practicing patience, you're analyzing incomplete information. That constant mental workout, it really sharpens your thinking, improves how you make decisions under pressure, builds emotional control. It's basically a master class in critical thinking, just, with cards and chips.
Okay, so poker isn't just for smart people. It actively makes you smarter the more you engage with it thoughtfully.
Exactly.
Mm.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. What other games might be going on in your life, maybe at work, in your hobbies, even just interacting with people that are secretly building your intelligence, making you sharper without you even realizing it?
Something to think about. And for those of you wanting to dive deeper into poker itself, to really hone those strategies we talked about, definitely explore the resources out there. Lots of ways to learn. Until next time, keep thinking, keep learning, and try to play smart.